tidal surge here is enormous. This is normally about 100 feet from the water. The waves are right on top of us. This is going to be destroyed. We're about to evacuate. The hurricane is just tremendous here. The wind is so high that when it whips... Jesus! We should have kept going! Come on! Let's go!
When a hurricane makes landfall, we expect to hear all about it from the comfort of our living rooms. But someone has to go out into the storm to bring you the pictures. This is their story.
Each one has to be checked out.
Mike Von Fremd, a correspondent with ABC News, has been covering hurricanes since 1985.
There is something so exciting about a hurricane because it's a phenomenal thing that nature does. And it is so powerful, and all man can really do is stand back in awe and watch it. And I like to do that.
Mike Von Fremd has been reporting from there throughout the morning. Amazingly, we've been able to get a picture. It is rather crude, but you can see Mike in silhouette there in New Iberia. You can see the effects of the winds. Mike, what's the situation?
Charlie, it's just an awful situation, and we just don't have enough cable for our camera to take a picture of it. At the Holiday Inn here, they've just had a gas main break, and families that have been looking to this place for shelter are now all scrambled in a parking lot on the other side.
Read this to see if I...
Mike's a veteran at covering storms for his network, but 1995 was different. That's when Hurricane Opal hit home, quite literally. The forecast called for a landfall at Destin, Florida, where Mike has a beach house. He headed there to cover a storm that had suddenly become very personal.
Okay, we're making the decision here. Let's try it.
And we drove over, and I got to tell you, that was the longest drive across a bridge I've ever made because I couldn't see 2 inches. And that was frightening. But we made it across, went into my place, and watched my beach house, the deck being completely destroyed. And I tried to do a stand-up that I never put on the air because the lighting wasn't just right.
This is my beach house in Destin, Florida. The tidal surge here is enormous. This is normally about 100 feet from the water. The waves are right on top of us. This is going to be destroyed. We're about to evacuate. The hurricane is just tremendous here.
As conditions worsened, Mike tried one more report. It was the event of a lifetime, even for such a highly experienced reporter.
It was a rush of emotions. On the one hand, I was thrilled that I was at the right place, that I had a cameraman and a sound man, and we were, I believe, the only reporters really getting the brunt of that storm. And I felt pretty smart because I knew the area. On the other hand, it's a place that I loved, and I was watching it get ripped apart, and actually during it, I didn't think it was going to still be standing.
For TV reporters, it's all about being in the right place at the right time. That's what happened to a crew from WABY-TV during Hurricane Emily.
By about 4 o'clock, all hell broke loose, and I had never seen anything like that before. The roof came off of the store across the street, and the gas station awning fell down.
2 hours into the height of the storm, things have gotten progressively worse. It's hard to even see 100 feet in front of us.
And at a certain point, the howl reached a different pitch that I'd never heard before. It was ferocious, it was frightening, and it made you wonder if it was ever going to stop.
As the wind increased, so did the waves.
We reached a point in the late afternoon where we were both a little concerned. Fortunately, we had to, keep working, and that kind of kept our minds off of it. But I do remember looking at each other and thinking, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Maybe we should have taken the safer way out.
This time, they got out okay.
It was a harrowing few hours, and at the same time, it was an awe-inspiring few hours. And you don't forget something like that. It raises the hair on the back of your neck.
It doesn't just look dangerous. It is.
Those boards were coming off. And watching those puppies rip loose and blow down the street was great video. I remember getting ready to get out of the vehicle. And a little voice said to me, above the din, of all the blowing, don't turn around. So I didn't. And that's when things went black. I don't know how long I was out. It couldn't have been for too long. But when I came to, I was laying on my back in the street. It hurt. And I wasn't really sure where it hurt. And what had happened, we figured later, was one of the boards that we were getting ready to shoot had torn loose and had hit me from behind.
The Weather Channel's Jeff Morrow had a similarly close escape covering Hurricane Floyd.
And that the whole ceiling crashed, and tiles were flying everywhere. We basically had to scramble for cover. Nobody was hurt, but one of the tiles and the wind blew a light into the camera and knocked the camera over, and the camera was pretty much totaled.
The Weather Channel, we're pretty careful about that, I think. We'd like to get out and cover the storm. The business is very competitive, and we want to be there. At the same time, we're very cognizant of what the risk might be, and we're careful not to put people in a place where we think there's a substantial risk to their lives.
That competitive pressure sometimes places reporters very close to the worst the storm has to offer.
Wind is so high that when it whips, geez.
These are the pictures you expect to see during a hurricane. Winds gusting up to 80 miles an hour. Shock here is that it's the coast. This is Goldsboro, North Carolina, 80 miles inland.
I'm only 20 yards away. This is to show you how difficult it is to only go 20 yards when you're in hurricane force winds. The sand is biting at your legs. It's difficult to move, and it's just a constant wind gusting, and it doesn't stop.
The rain now is coming down extremely hard, and we can barely even see it. It's really a blinding rain now, and the winds are absolutely ferocious. Standing is quite difficult.
The best advice I can give you tonight, if you logged on and tuned into this particular broadcast, stay home, ride this one out, and hopefully this thing will pull on through quick.
Torrential rains are just sweeping across this area. It's all we can do to keep our footing on this roadway that leads right to Wrightsville Beach.
The water sweeping over the banks, the wind's whipping up more than 40 miles per hour. Not a soul in sight here by the causeway.
I mean, from a reporter's standpoint, from covering, Mother Nature, what it can serve up, a hurricane is as exciting as it gets.
I never wish a hurricane, but if there's going to be a hurricane, I kind of want to be in the middle of it, because it is, in many respects, an ultimate story.
What I find difficult now that I didn't earlier on in my career is being away from my family, and knowing that my family is watching TV and worried, and that bothers me.
You stand there and you're literally in awe, just in awe of what Mother Nature can really do.
I think it's the most amazing thing to cover a hurricane, to see the force of that storm and to see the force of that storm just calm down. It's amazing to me.
Next, when a hurricane's so bad that not even reporters and chasers will go in, that's when a special kind of person steps forward.